The quiet that followed my confession wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, thick, the kind of silence that presses against your chest until breathing feels loud. No one reached for food again. My mother's hands trembled as she folded her napkin, then unfolded it, then folded it again. She looked smaller somehow, like the authority she'd worn her whole life had slipped off her shoulders and shattered on the tile floor. "You lied to me," she finally said. "No," I replied evenly. "I stopped volunteering information to someone who used it as a weapon." My father stood up slowly. "We should talk about this later." "No," my mother snapped. "We'll talk about it now." Her eyes locked onto mine. "How could you hide something this big?" I met her gaze. Unflinching. The same way you hid your disappointment in me, behind jokes and concern. When the family lines were drawn, Daniel broke the silence. "So let me get this straight," he said, rubbing his jaw. "You're married to a guy with money, influence, and connections, and you never mentioned it." I smiled faintly. "Interesting that that's what you heard." Marissa crossed her arms. "Is this why you stopped coming around? Why you always had work?" "Yes," I said, "because every visit felt like a performance review I was destined to fail." My mother scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." I leaned forward. "You called me embarrassing for being unmarried. In my own childhood home, that's not drama, that's a pattern." The truth my mother didn't want. Elaine's voice sharpened. "I pushed you because I wanted the best for you." "No," I said softly. "You pushed me because my life didn't reflect the one you wanted to show off." Her mouth opened, then closed. I stood up. For years, I thought something was wrong with me, that I was behind, incomplete. I placed my napkin down carefully. Then I built a life so full, I stopped needing your approval to feel whole. My father sat back down, defeated. My mother looked around the table, searching for support. None came. The call that changed the power dynamic. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "This is Elaine Whitmore," my mother said stiffly. "I need to speak to Michael." I smiled. "He's in a meeting. You can speak to me." A pause. "I don't understand why he would allow you to hide something like this." I laughed once, short. "He did allow anything. I chose peace." She inhaled sharply. I didn't know." That's the point. The public reckoning. A week later, my mother hosted a charity luncheon. The same women who had whispered about me for years were there. I attended. With my husband. Michael walked in beside me, confident, calm, impossibly unbothered. Conversations stalled mid-sentence. Elaine's smile froze. She had no choice. She introduced us. "This is my daughter, Emily, and her husband, Michael." The room buzzed. Questions. Compliments. Sudden respect. I watched it happen, the way people treated me differently once my life fit their standards. And for the first time, it didn't matter. The moment I took my power back. Later that evening, my mother cornered me near the coat rack. "You could have told me sooner," she said quietly. I met her eyes. "You could have listened." She swallowed. "I didn't realize how cruel I was." I nodded. "Now you do." She reached for my hand. I let her hold it. But I didn't give it back the way I used to. The final truth. Hear what I learned. Some parents don't want happy children. They want successful reflections. And sometimes, the bravest thing a woman can do is live a life so authentic it terrifies the people who tried to control her. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to scream. I needed one sentence. And the courage to stand by it. I didn't stay long after that lunch. I didn't need to. The damage, or rather the truth, had already landed. As I stood to leave, my mother didn't follow me to the door like she always did. No forced smile. No instructions to call more often. She just sat there, staring at the wedding photo still glowing on my phone's screen like evidence from a crime scene. For the first time in my life, I walked out of that house without feeling small. The fallout began immediately. By Monday morning, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Aunt Linda, Cousin Rachel, family friends who hadn't spoken to me in years. Every call was the same. Is it true? Why didn't we know? Your mother is very upset. I ignored them all. Instead, I went to work, my actual work. The career my mother loved to pretend was a phase. At noon, Michael called. So, he said gently, your mother just tried to Google my net worth. I laughed hard. I'm sorry, I said. No, he replied. This is oddly satisfying. My mother's narrative fell apart. Within days, my mother's carefully curated image started cracking. She told people she'd known, for a while, about my marriage. That didn't last. Because Marissa, sweet, competitive Marissa, corrected her at a book club brunch. No, she said. Emily told us all last Sunday. Mom had no idea. The room went quiet. My mother hated silence when she wasn't in control of it. The call she never thought she'd make. 2 weeks later, my phone rang at 10:47 p.m. I almost didn't answer. Almost. Emily, my mother said, her voice brittle. Why didn't you trust me? There it was. Not I'm sorry. Not I hurt you. Why didn't you trust me? I took a breath. Because every time I shared something personal, you turned it into a measurement of my worth. She didn't respond. I didn't hide my marriage to punish you, I continued. I hid it to protect myself. Her voice cracked. People are asking questions. I smiled into the darkness of my bedroom. I know. The charity event. The real reckoning came a month later. My mother hosted her annual charity gala. Black tie, donors, speeches, applause. She invited me. I accepted. But I didn't go alone. Michael walked in beside me, hand steady at the small of my back. Conversations slowed. Heads turned. Whispers rippled. My mother saw us from across the room. For a split second, panic flashed across her face. Then she straightened her spine. Too late. She had already lost control of the story. The introduction that changed everything. When she stepped up to the microphone, I knew she hadn't planned this moment. And now, she said stiffly, I'd like to thank my daughter, Emily, and her husband, Michael, for their generous contribution. Applause erupted. Real applause. Not polite. Not forced. I caught my mother watching the crowd, not me. She was realizing something painful. My life had earned respect without her approval. The private conversation. Later that night, she found me alone near the balcony. You could have warned me, she said quietly. I turned to her. You warned me my entire life, I replied, about what happens to women who don't follow the plan. She looked down at her hands. I thought I was helping. I know, I said, but help that hurts still hurts. She nodded once. That was the closest she ever came to an apology. What changed and what didn't? My mother didn't transform overnight. She still cares too much about appearances. She still struggles with control. But she stopped mocking me. Stopped using my life as a cautionary tale. Because now she knows something important. I will walk away. End the life I chose. Here's the truth no one tells women like me. Being single isn't failure. Being married isn't success. And living for someone else's approval is the most expensive mistake of all. I didn't win because I was secretly married. I won because I stopped explaining myself. And that one sentence, it didn't just freeze the room. It ended a lifetime of silence.